Thank you for being patient. I know we're a little late tonight. We just ended executive session and we are back to open session. Today is Thursday, February 26th. This is a meeting of the Milford School Committee. We start with invitation to speak, which we do not have anyone here for. We're moving on to announcements, correspondence, and distribution. Does anybody have anything for that?
I have a quick update about an MCIA survey. At the beginning of next week, we'll be reaching out to families to inform them about our annual student survey administration of the Massachusetts Consortium of Innovative Education Assessment, which is MCIA. The student provides us with perspective on teachers and learning and leadership, school culture, resources, academic learning, and community and well-being. We're excited to receive the student feedback and use this information to continue to drive improvement across our district. Families have an option to opt their student out of the survey if they do not want their child participating. This year, we're also going to be asking families to engage in a family version of this survey to ensure that we don't just have the student perspective and the teacher perspective, but also the family's perspective on these same different areas of focus. And we're looking forward to having an analysis of the survey in the spring so that we can start to think about having a deeper understanding of the various perspectives of Milford Public Schools.
Excellent. Any other announcements, please?
Yeah, I'd like to announce that Mr. Peter Boucher has resigned his position as athletic director in Milford Public Schools to take on a role of wellness director in another community. I'd like to thank Mr. Boucher for all the contributions that he's made along the way. He was appointed the position in 2014. Since that time, he's supervised an athletics program that has had many notable accomplishments on the field, court, track, and pool, while also excelling in the classroom and community. Under his leadership, Milford Public Schools has been celebrated for sportsmanship, leadership, in efforts to build a strong, united athletics program inclusive of all student athletes. Of particular note, under his leadership, Milford student athletes and coaches have 39 league titles across all the sports, 12 state championships, multiple state finalists, Final Four teams, multiple state and New England individual champions and finalists, 9 league or state coach of the year awards, and multiple honorable mentions, and then also numerous Division I, Division II, and Division III college athletic commitments. So we've certainly seen our athletic program grow to new heights under Peter's leadership. So I'm definitely appreciative of all that Peter's brought to Milford Public Schools, and we wish him a lot of luck in his next endeavor. I'm also pleased to announce that as of Monday, or this coming Monday, we are appointing Mr. Stephen DeVito in the role of interim athletic director. Mr. DeVito currently serves as the Dean of Students at Milford High School. It's a role that he's filled for the past 5 years. In taking the role of the interim AD, he will continue in a reduced role of the Dean of Students. Some of the responsibilities that he has as Dean will shift over to some other building administrators and other staff members. But previous to his role in the current position, he was the coordinator for the alternative program for the high school for several years. He was also a high school teacher for approximately 5 years. In athletics, Mr. DeVito has served as the head coach of the girls softball team since 2014. He will also be resigning his position as softball coach, and we will hire an interim softball coach just for the season anyways. Of note for Mr. DeVito is he won his team won the state championship in 2017. and also won a state championship as a Legion baseball coach in 2014. He's been recognized as the state softball coach of the year in 2017 as well. So we're very excited that it's going to hopefully be an easy transition for our kids and for our coaches with Mr. DeVito, who's very familiar around here, grew up in Milford. The plan is to post for the permanent position of athletic director later in the spring. And I think we're poised to have a good spring athletic season under Mr. DeVito's leadership. So that's the news in the athletic front right now. I guess we do have a couple other news. We have a wrestling team that's still competing through the states, and then we also have a girls basketball team that won their first playoff game last night and has a playoff game tomorrow night in Norwood. So looking forward to that too.
Excellent. I think the only thing I'll add, obviously, is a big thanks to the highway department and facilities team
Yes.
and janitors for dealing with that mess earlier this week that we all got to deal with, and they did a good job getting a lot of snow moved around. So, big thanks to those guys. All right, so we can go on to not quite general chairperson update. I don't have anything for that, and then the MSBA project. Can you just say a couple comments on the meeting
Sure.
you guys had yesterday, I believe?
Yeah, so we started the visioning process with HMFH. We have an education consultant who's leading us through that, and we put together a team of, I guess we'll call them experts, 12 experts from our Milford High School, which there's some district folks like Carrie and I are in there, Josh is in there, but then there's also teachers. And the purpose of that group is to think about what we want in a new high school. Think about the vision, think about how we want education to look, and think about how the design of the new high school or renovation of the high school will allow for that to happen. We also have, aside from that group of 12, we have an additional 28 teachers, parents, students who are also going to serve in that committee to also provide feedback. The feedback that we're going to get is going to be the foundational work for the ed plan that Principal Otland and I have to write in short order, really. But that's why this work is important. We have, I don't remember, like 5 more meetings, I think, between all-day meetings and 3-hour sessions. Then we're also going to visit 3 schools that were recently built. And then finally, we're going to shadow some students at Milford High School so that we can understand what the current experience is for high school students. And so with all of that, it's going to help us create this vision for the new Milford High School. So it's exciting work. I'm glad that we had so many parents and staff members that expressed interest in contributing to that work. There will be many opportunities along the way from starting from now, but beyond this group, there'll be many opportunities for students, parents, and staff members to provide feedback to our design team so that we can make sure that everybody gets their say and their input on what they would like to see in the new school. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions on that?
Just have one minute. Are the schools you're visiting comprehensive high schools? Or one of them?
Some of them are.
Okay,
Mainly they were chosen because they're new builds, but I know that for certain, Attleboro High School is on the list.
Awesome.
And
Great.
so hopefully people get to see that.
Cool, thanks.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the report of the superintendent of schools. Keep going.
Okay. So in your agenda, and I sent this to you earlier, I've attached just a review of the goals, where we are so far. So if you recall, there was 4 goals that I had presented earlier in the year. For goal 1, develop and implement a systematic leadership structures to foster a cohesive, unified, and effective administrative team. Some of the actions that we've taken so far, we have a team meeting structure at our leadership level, at our high-level leadership level, where we have a rolling agenda that's we are able to identify what our goals are for each meeting, and then the purpose of each of the different items throughout the meeting. It keeps our meetings moving fast, and keeps them streamlined, and makes sure that we're on target. We have outcomes for all, and also we revisit where we've been, so that we're always making sure that we're moving the ship forward, I guess. We've also established an operations cabinet. It's been very helpful, especially like over the last couple of days with snowstorms and everything, to have everybody on the same page. It's something that we haven't had before, where we're meeting regularly with all the folks in the operations team. So we meet monthly on that. We have a similar structure with our rolling agendas and outcomes, and just getting to know everyone and what each part of the operation is to run this district. We've also established a teaching and learning cabinet. We met today, actually. Carrie facilitates those meetings. We bring together our district folks to talk through curriculum instruction assessment. We've been focusing mainly on literacy this year. It's our priority. So with that group, we try to create, we try to make sure that everybody understands where we're trying to go as a district with literacy. And at the next meeting, we're going to look at our iReady data and see what adjustments we're going to need to make. I've already shared, I think I shared with you all, well, at least, yeah, I did. I shared with you our comprehensive organizational chart. I do have one that has job descriptions on it, and it's finalized. I'm just reading through it again to make sure that it says everything that I want to say. They're quick. They're one-sheeter that tells the function of the job. The next thing that I'm working on is the organizational chart, the way that we want to see it. So I'm going to share with you the current one, but then we're also working on the one that we also shared at our budget meeting. I have established bi-weekly one-to-one meetings with each school principal. The purpose of those meetings is for the principals to share with me what they're working on, what they want to highlight, and then what they're struggling with. So those have been very productive. The one thing that I want to say about those meetings is that I had envisioned those meetings for opportunities to do more structured learning walks with principals that we haven't got there yet. I'm hopeful that towards the spring we will be able to get there, but just trying to get our feet underneath us and establish a working relationship. It's been challenging to get into classrooms and do those learning walks. So that's something that I really want to focus on in the spring. I'm hopeful that I can get there. I don't know that I'm going to get there with the frequency that I want to get there. But it's not inconceivable for trying to at least get in 2 or 3 with each principal through the spring. So that's going to be my goal for moving forward. With that, for the second goal, develop and execute a comprehensive entry plan to assess district strengths, challenges, and stakeholder priorities. This is something that I've had to do through the NISA program with Becky, my mentor. I've had many interviews with stakeholders, and I've had many focus groups with different stakeholders, including, families, community members, community leaders, some students, staff members, community partners. Same with one-to-one interviews, in some cases, family interviews. So that's been really informative. I really enjoy listening to what other folks are saying, to hear perspectives of what's going well in our district and where people would like to see us head has been inspirational, I guess is the best way to put that. So that's been great. Again, in development, learning walks, I really I have to get into classrooms as much more. It's just been challenging. I have held some office hours, but I'd like to try to figure out a way to have unstructured office hours where people are going to feel free to come and talk. And I don't know how to do that because I also don't want to go to a place and not have anybody show up. So I got to try to think of a way to invite people in where they're not gonna they're gonna actually take me up on the invite. Towards the end of either a month from now or 6 weeks from now, I'm going to report some of these findings to all of you, and then after that, I'm going to create a plan based on those findings. Goal 3 was identify and foster optimal learning and working environments to enable students and staff to achieve their highest potential. I have been committed to working with the building committee. I'm attending all the meetings as they are, but then also the visioning process and working on the behind the scenes with the design team and our OPM. I'm supporting Carol and Carrie, I guess, as we roll out our literacy initiatives. I think the best support that I can offer Carol is to stay out of her way, but I'm not going to claim to be an expert on early literacy the way that Carol is. I think that saying that, I do mean that, is like just stay out of her way and let her do her thing, but I also want to make sure that she feels supported in what she's doing and feels like she has Carrie and I to pick her up when things don't go the way that she wants. So I regularly check in with Carrie, and I try to stay out of Carol's way and work through Carrie on that. I think one way that I've done number 3, which is to develop and implement comprehensive staff wellness and professional growth programs, is working with my K2 task force on behavior and safety. I'm going to continue to work with them on that. And then I also working with labor management, trying to understand some of the things that are challenging in our district. And then finally, trying to foster collaborative partnerships with families and community organizations to support student success. Just before this meeting, as an example, Wen and I met with all the heads of the PTOs and also the principals to understand what they're trying to accomplish this year, but then also try to figure out how we can support each other as one large organization. So we have another meeting coming up in March to talk through what that might look like as one PTO organization for our district. So they were kind of excited about that. One thing that they felt was, it's the same folks going from one building to the next, and it feels fragmented where it shouldn't really feel fragmented. We should all be working together. So they're excited to work together on something like this, so that's good. One thing is MCIA, for example, will help us develop a sense of what the school climate and culture is across the buildings. Certainly the focus groups that we're doing are helping that climate and culture. Those are all things that we're doing to figure out how our buildings are culture-wise. One thing I also want to continue to explore is to figure out different ways for student voice and engagement in the decision-making process. That's one thing that I'm excited for the visioning process. Is we've already identified 8 to 10, I can't remember what the number is, but somewhere at 8 to 10 students that are going to be involved in that. So just listening intently to each of those kids on what it is that they want in a high school experience and maybe what they're missing right now in their high school experience. So we don't have to wait, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6 years when the new building's built. Maybe we can put some things in place that seem to be missing now. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. And then finally, goal 4, lead successful negotiation and contract management for critical district operations. And really what I'm finding is I'm more supporting the work of Wen, especially when it came to like identifying the OPM firms and when she put together the bid process of transportation services. Those are 2 things that we already have done. I know that it was a lot of work for Wen to put those things together. I think she did a great job, and I think that we're happy with the 4 OPMs, and we're also happy with what we have right now with transportation services. We have been working with the Teachers Association to do contract negotiations there. And then one thing that's coming out shortly is the custodial services procurement as that contract's wrapping up. So all the contracts and competitive procurement processes, it's all new to me. I'm not sure how many Wen has done in her time. It might have been new for her too, but I think that they all went smoothly, and I think that we follow the law. Which, yeah, hopefully. I think we did. We used our attorneys when we needed to.
Very good.
We always.
But we've, I guess when I look back at all the things that we've done so far, we've been very busy. But I haven't felt overwhelmed, so I think that's a good thing. The pace has been okay. I think that I think that at some point, hopefully, the pace slows down a little bit, but it remains to be seen. I think that some of the things that are necessary things to do, like the OPMs and the other contracts and those sorts of things, those are the things that I'm finding anyways gets in the way of me being in classrooms, but they're also necessary things that we just have to do operation-wise. So that's, I need to figure out the balance there and how to be an instructional leader. If that's something I want from my principals and my assistant principals, how can I be the instructional leader that I want them to be, knowing that we have all these other things that we have to take care of. So I'll open it up for questions, comments, anything anybody has.
Just a quick one. So thanks, Craig. I think there's so much going on. Obviously, you're involved in so much, but from my perspective, it's not only like what you're doing, but how you're doing it. And so even just using labor management as one example, I feel like those meetings have become very productive and like a two-way sharing of information, which historically they had not. So I just want to say, in addition to the volume of what you're taking on, I think it's also the way you're going about it that really matters. So I just wanted to give you kudos for that. And then maybe just a positive plug for all of this will also require evidence supporting it. And so as you're starting to build that, appreciate all the work that will go into that. So thank you. And I love the picture that you kicked it off with. That was great.
It's the only thing I could get to open on my tablet too, is just the picture, so it's a great idea.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, just quickly, thank you very much for presenting tonight. You know, it's giving a picture of everything that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, which I know is pretty extensive. Just you know, the educational stuff we all know with 5 schools is daunting. Then when you start adding on this new school building and that committee, the project that's going on that they're kicking off down at Stacy Middle School with the HVAC. So those are some of the things that I see from outside of the normal kind of realm of what you would expect the superintendent to be doing. So that in and itself is a pretty busy thing. Also, you know, like you said, the labor and management, yeah, certainly it is. It's collaborative. You know, I think in the past, sitting on that committee, there was a little bit of divide, you know, and so we're seeing a more collaborative and free-flowing of information back and forth. And I think that the superintendent and his staff are reacting to what the teachers are looking for to make their environment, their school environment more comfortable. So yeah. So again, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And we will keep pressing you too.
Yeah, it seems like you're being pulled in so many different directions, but you're doing a good job of managing it. You're saying you're not overwhelmed. That's impressive. It's a very holistic approach because you're looking at it from top to bottom. You're meeting with principals, you're meeting with, you know, contractors when it comes to uniforms and everything like that. Like that's great because the details matter, and in this season, those really do matter a lot. So thank you for all that.
Thank you.
Just to echo what everyone's saying, appreciate the update and appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, we'll give you a break now.
Thanks.
You can go. We'll move on to the report of the interim assistant superintendent for teaching and learning.
All right, so I have 2 updates tonight for you. One is I will update us all on our K-5 literacy implementation. And the reason I'm providing this update this week is because prior to the February school vacation week, Brookside, Memorial, and Woodland engaged in their mid-year learning walks with TNCP, who's our consultant for expeditionary learning implementation, which is through our PRISM grant. So they were on site for 1 day at each of our buildings in partnership with our building leaders and Carol Seversky as our curriculum supervisor of literacy. They visited 28 classrooms across the 3 buildings where they were able to see some really great growth in our implementation that I really want to highlight for you because I think it's a huge testament to the amount of work that our teachers are putting into the classrooms. So in 86% of the classrooms that they walked into, students were engaged in the work of the lesson from the start of the learning walk to the end of the learning walk. Sometimes they walk in, you know, the first 15 minutes of the block. Sometimes they walk in the middle. Sometimes they walk in the end. Sometimes, especially in an elementary, we'll see like a spillover of the content before. And so 86% is actually a really high percentage point. We're hoping to get to 90% by the end of the school year. In 86% of those the classrooms, we also saw students spending the majority of the lesson listening to, reading, writing, or speaking about high-quality texts. The goal that we set at the end of the year was 80%. So we've already outpaced that learning walk core action, which is huge for the middle of the school year and year 1 of implementation. In 57% of the classrooms, the lessons integrated grade level reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language standards that really support our students to have deep understanding of the text and the topics. And so this is something that we need to be working on. And so it's not, we know that our kids are spending the majority of time now in grade level texts, and we really want to start focusing on how we're integrating that to support the deep understanding of the texts. In terms of Winter iReady data, we're basically seeing the same data that we saw last year. And so you've heard me talk about the implementation dip, and so our numbers are steady. 40% of our students this year are on grade level in literacy across all the 5 different domains. Last year we saw 39%. So a 1% increase, which I would say it's not significant to even say that there's a huge increase, but steady there. You know, there's still 60% of our students that are 1 grade level or below, which means we need to continue to work. And I think it is why we have a literacy priority of all students reading and writing at grade level. And when they're not in place, there's a plan in place to get them there. Craig talked a little bit earlier about, we actually spent today time as a teaching and learning cabinet unpacking what was working, what wasn't working in our implementation, and how all the district leaders around the table can really hold a part of this literacy priority in their day-to-day work with teachers and with staff and with different building administrators. And so we have some steps we're going to take together to shift that. And hopefully we will see some increases in this learning walk data when they come back in the spring. Any questions on the K-5 literacy update?
I just have one minute, sorry. Could you just speak to the HQIM? So that percent is so high, I'm assuming the curriculum comes with the, I'm just trying to like link the materials that come with the curriculum, and how do you think about that in terms of like, wouldn't we expect it to be high because does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we would expect every single student to be engaging with exponential learning when we walk into knowledge
Okay.
classrooms. However, we know that content it shifts,
Sure.
and the 60 minutes on paper might not actually be 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be this give and take. I don't think we're going to ever see 100% of the time.
Sure.
We walk in 100% of the lesson
Got it.
is on exponential learning, unless you're walking into like the middle of that 60
Sure.
minutes. That's just the nature of elementary schools. When we talk about students spending the majority of the listening to, reading, writing, and speaking about texts,
Yeah.
In the beginning of a lesson, a lot of times you'll unpack a learning target, or you'll unpack an idea that you're about to read about. That would not be considered reading, writing, listening, or speaking
So
about
that's
a
counting
text.
into that overall percentage.
Correct.
Got it. Okay,
Correct. So
helpful.
that's
Thank
where
you.
you're never gonna see 100%
Sure.
of these metrics.
Okay.
When we start talking about the 57% where students are engaging in deep understanding of the text, that's really getting into the questions that are being asked by the teacher, or what exactly they're being asked to do with the text. Are they unpacking this one vocabulary word that has to do with the text, or that's not really important for them? And so
Okay.
that's the piece that now we're really thinking about, like the art of teaching literacy, and what does that look like for teachers? And that's the third piece that we need to really focus on now.
Awesome. Are the instructional coaches a piece of that?
They are.
Okay.
I believe they engage in the learning walks
Okay.
as well, and each building has their own kind of like data set
Okay.
that then they identify action steps in
Neat.
each building to kind of take.
Okay.
These numbers are across all 28 classrooms where
Got
we
it.
kind of stay on.
Just seems like a trainer opportunity almost if they're able to participate and say,
Yeah.
okay, cool,
Yeah.
thanks.
I also know that there are learning walks happening on a monthly basis between building administration
Got it.
and the curriculum supervisor of literacy. These numbers are really coming from TNTP, which is nice
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because it's giving us an outside perspective,
Sure.
unbiased perspective of what's happening in our classrooms. Because they don't necessarily know the story of the classroom or the story of the teacher, and so they're really giving us clean data versus data that might be influenced by personal opinion.
That's great. And they'll do one more this year?
They
Is that
will.
what- Great. Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Carrie, when you talked about the 40% on grade level, is that an average from K to 5? Or does it vary? Are we seeing variations in the different grade levels?
I did not pull this data off the top of my head by grade level. I pulled
Okay.
K-5 data. So
Okay.
K-5 students, if we put them all in one big bucket,
Yeah.
40% of K-5 students are on grade level according to iReady in the
Yeah.
winter. And last year, 39% were in
Yeah.
the winter.
If you had to, and this would be, I guess, in a sense, a complete guess, do we see a better progression as they get older, or do you feel like that 40% holds from grade level to grade level? Because there's obviously a big difference in the learning environment of a kindergartner versus a 5th grade. We're at different schools, just trying.
I would
and if
be
you don't have that-
completely guessing.
Yeah, I guess in the future, if we could get that, and
Mhm.
there may not be anything to that. I guess maybe just from a standpoint of, are we seeing a difference in the lower grades and it drops off in the upper grades, or vice versa, right?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I will tell you that in our teaching and learning cabinet this afternoon in April, which is when we'll meet next, we are going to do like a dive of like comparison of school to school, grade
Okay.
level to grade level, subgroup
Yep.
data. So that is the plan, to really dive deep into that work there.
Yeah,
And then
and
if you have more
again, going
updates.
back, that 40% is kind of a predictable number, if I recall, based on the fact that new curriculum, we see the dip, kind of, and then it increases, and much like what we saw with the math side. So we're kind of that 40%, if I recall right, is that dip.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, if we're looking holistically, we're seeing actually an increase of 1% compared to
Okay.
last year.
Yep.
So we're not
Hopefully
seeing
it's
a dip. Now, in reading, because you have two strands, right? Like, so you are developing phonics and decoding, and then you're developing comprehension in literature and vocabulary.
Right.
Exponentiary learning is really only focusing on the comprehension and the vocabulary. We're at this point in time, we have materials in the hands of teachers for phonics, but we really haven't like doubled down on our implementation of the phonics. When we say 40%, it's taking both strands of the rope and saying overall they're at 40%. So we also need to do a deep dive in the different domains to see if we're seeing a dip or a growth in kind of vocabulary and comprehension, because that we could tie into the exponentiary learning explicitly.
Okay.
Quick questions. Thank you for the updates. You may not have this answer now, but I just would be curious if you have it in the future. We always talk about it, attendance equals, better performance in schools. Do you have a correlation with these numbers this time?
I don't.
If at some point you could put that together, that'd be awesome. And the second part, do you track how support at home is correlated to these numbers, if you can even track that kind of stat?
I don't know how we would track that, because I don't know what quantifiable data we could get.
Right.
I mean, we know, not Milford specific, but we know the more words and vocabulary and language that students are exposed to early on in development, they're coming to kindergarten more literate, right? And so we could point to that, but it's really hard to quantify what support at home would even mean and look like. There's also a big difference in, we're testing the students in English.
Right.
They might be proficient in their home language, and
Sure.
we know at our elementary levels that more than 50% of our students' first language is not English at home.
Right.
And so that is potentially playing a piece in here, which is why we really need to be pulling this apart by demographics
For sure.
and different subgroups.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mark has one more question.
Yep.
Is there a GG for literacy? No, sure. Is there like an equivalent program? I don't know.
I don't know
Okay.
of one. I think if there was one,
Yeah.
Carol would love to have it,
Okay.
because she's very jealous of the
Just curious.
penguin
Yeah.
Gigi walking around.
The energy. Yeah.
She tried to get off the ground running. The pigeon from Don't Let the
Okay,
Pigeon
yeah.
Ride the Bus,
Mhm.
but it just doesn't have the
Okay.
same
Got it. All right.
take as the
Curious.
Gigi.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Pigeons aren't as good as penguins, we know that.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. All right, thank you for
I
that.
think
welcome.
Meg just
I have-
wants to dress up as something.
No, I'm good.
It would have to be small, whatever it is. I have one more update for you, which is an out-of-state field trip request. This is coming from Memorial Elementary School from grade 1 students. They're looking for your approval to go to Roger Williams Park Zoo in Providence. They're looking at June 11th as their date. Because it's out of state, it does need your vote for approval. And just a little bit of background here, the reason they're going to Roger Williams Zoo as opposed to Southwick Zoo is because they go to Southwick Zoo in kindergarten and they don't want to go to the same zoo in first grade. And in addition, the Roger Williams Park Zoo focuses on the structural adaptations to help animals survive in their habitat. They have a program there that our kids will engage with, and it's part of the grade 1 curriculum. So that's the why out of state travel for this field trip request.
Any questions on the travel?
Make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel from
Motion by
Memorial.
Megan, second by
Yes. Second.
Chris. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you for that. All right, we can go on to the report of the school business administrator.
Thank you. So I would like to walk you through the budget report of this year. The bottom line is 2.5 million, which is a little higher than the same time last year. However, I want to just talk about some accounts that I'm watching and monitoring. First of all, if you go to other school services, transportation, even with the offset, it's still going in deficit. And we still have several kids in evaluation, several kids in referral. So depending on where they accept it, the transportation cost can vary. So I'm watching that. And the tuition, if you look at the tuition and the offset, I don't believe we're going to use up all the tuition fund, so maybe it'll be an offset from the tuition left over. And the athletics account, the balance is now $11,000. Because we just processed the spring coaches stipends, and I don't believe we have entered it in payroll. So if we added that, that's gonna be another account gonna be going to red. In the next budget meeting, I will update on that too. And also move to operations and maintenance. The heating of the building. Last year, we spent $375,000 for the whole year, and I encumbered a little more than that. But by February, we already spent $90,000 more than February last year. So I'll have to. I decided to increase encumbrance by $90,000, so that puts that heating of the building account further in the deficit. Utilities, we spent $772,000 in electricity last year, and basically I'm encumbering the same amount. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's my anticipation right now, but so those accounts combined, and with a little bit balance in the maintenance of buildings, make the total balance of operation and maintenance only $3,000 left. But last year we overspent this account by $176,000, and with the leftover money, not spending money from instruction money. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, the bottom line is healthy for now. So just keep monitoring. I won't stop spending until April. So by April, I should have a better idea.
Questions?
Question? When, obviously, every year we go through balance transfers to offset those particular lines that go into a deficit. Looking, so the substitutes long-term versus substitute short-term, obviously the substitute short-term has a significant balance. Is that something did that change up from the past? Why we have such a bigger balance there, being that we're more than halfway through the year?
If you look at the budget, we actually only budgeted in one line. We combined long-term and short-term as in one pocket.
But I'm seeing two.
Yes, two lines, but we only have $633,000 for both.
Yeah, some of the budget zero. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why.
Because depending on.
Why pull from that? If we budgeted zero, why pull from that? Why have transactions come out of that budget line?
We track differently, even with budget. It's hard to budget how many positions will be filled by long-term subs, how many are short-term sub, day-to-day subs. We budgeted in the same place, but we track them differently.
Okay.
So it's easier for us to manage.
Gotcha.
And track and find solutions to reduce the cost.
Yeah. And then the other one, just out of curiosity, general supplies. Obviously, we had a significant budget amount there. There's still some there's still some money there. Do you feel like something like that, and then we've gone in the past, we've gone right down to zero just based on, again, supplies and what we're going to need throughout the rest of the year? Or is that going to be something we'll probably tap into to move funds around?
We'll see. So by April, I would have a better idea from the principals. I would talk to every principals and see what they estimate
Okay.
in the budget balance.
All right. As long as that last number is, you're saying is healthy, I believe you. That's the word. So, all right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Anything else? No?
Good.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, and personnel update, we hired the spring coaches and some turnovers in supporting staff. And I know Chris has a question about the credit recovery program.
Yeah, credit recovery camp.
You
I
got
talked to
that?
Terry prior to the meeting. She gave me the feedback on that. So
Okay.
if anybody else has any questions, go see Terry.
All right.
But yeah, so I appreciate the feedback. I had reached out just out of curiosity what it was. Carrie and I connected, and I have a very good understanding of what the credit recovery camp was.
Mhm. Great.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you. So move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to pull out for this? I see not. Okay, so we'll have 4 items in the consent agenda tonight. It will include the following: the approval of 14 warrants in the amount of $1,258,479.01. The approval of minutes from the February 5th, 2026 meeting. Professional development in the amount of $5,448.10, and then 1 grant in the amount of $111,000. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Megan, second by Derek. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Subcommittee updates.
I believe, yeah, facilities met. I know we actually had a kickoff yesterday too. So facilities, a lot of the same. Just kind of discussing general facilities projects, which really weren't a lot. It's more Carlos chasing heating problems out and around the 5 schools. We're always keeping an eye on the roof. I think we understand. Kudos to Carlos that created a leak catching system that goes into gutters and goes into buckets. So certainly will reduce the amount of buckets needed and around. So again, his creativity is shown from that standpoint, because we know, based on the fact of how much it snowed and the age of this roof and the fact that the new school is in the works, that this roof's going to leak. So we appreciate Carlos's creativity in that department. We've also just talked about school assessments, right, and looking at our other schools and utilizing our current budget to look at our other schools and do the same type of assessment that we had at Stacy Middle School, so that way we can be proactive on our budgeting. And then, yesterday we did the kickoff. Really, so we have James Reefstyle from Next Level. He's the same OPM we're using for the high school project. We picked James, or the administration picked James to be the OPM for Stacy HVAC upgrades. So not a lot to report right now, other than the fact that we're just getting things going, and he understands our target goals and what needs to be accomplished. So that might be something that we might want to put on our agenda as maybe a monthly update, not necessarily every meeting, but just so the committee understands where we are in the process and what the timelines are. So.
Thank you. Any other groups meet in the last couple weeks? No. All right. Go to future agenda items. So I'll just let you know what I have on the list currently, and then we can add anything else. We have, obviously, what Chris just mentioned. We'll do some sort of monthly update on the Stacy project, considering that's going to be a larger and longer term project. I do owe the committee the evaluation tool for the superintendent, so we can all review it and accept that together. So that's something that I will work on, given the mid-year goals update we just received. And then I also have on here to schedule, I would recommend 2 budget meetings in the near future, to give us a couple swings at going through the list of initiatives after we've had the time to review what we've already discussed, so I'll ask Craig and Melissa to reach out with some options for us to start tackling this. I assume the group will want to do that individually on a Wednesday or something, and not just tack on before this meeting in smaller chunks. That sound appropriate? Either way?
I'm good with that.
That
I've
works.
got more flexibility than some of the others.
Yeah. All
How
right.
long?
I would say 2 hours is probably a good chunk to go with.
All right.
We can try to take some shots at that and see how far we get. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add to the list?
Yes, e-bike policy.
E-bike policy.
Hard to believe that spring will be coming, but yeah, I think that's, again, just something, let's get ahead of it as far as with the springtime coming. We saw a little bit of issues in and around town with e-bikes. So just, and I know that Craig had brought it up to try to get a little bit of some thoughts. So let's figure out if we need a policy and what that policy would be, so.
Is that something that you want to pass with policy, or you just want to have a full discussion on that?
I worry that the policy committee has a lot going on, so if we can fit it into our schedule,
Sure.
great.
I think
If
so.
not, I'll have to defer to policy, and you guys are gonna have to come up with at least maybe some groundwork, but,
Fair enough.
yeah. But it might be just as easy as having Chief Tessino in, or even with Chief Tessino working with Superintendent Consigli, and go from there.
Sure.
So, and what do the principals want, overall? I'm just looking at it from a safety standpoint.
Got it. All right.
Matt, I don't have an additional item, but it's just a timing consideration. Given we're in the midst of teacher negotiations that have a lot of components, I didn't even know if we'd want to move out approval of next year's school calendar pending some resolution on some of the context that we're talking about. I just wanted to suggest that. I don't need an answer. I just wanted to offer it.
Yeah, just real quick, the only issue is we have to, I think one thing that we should do is just finalize the start date, because we have to put that on just different registration packets and such.
Totally fair.
Mhm.
Just wanted to offer
So,
it
yeah.
because it touches a lot of
that's,
things. That's all.
That's going to be, I believe, on next meeting. I think that was supposed to be this meeting, so we'll talk about it next meeting. It sounds like we'll just come up with a tentative start
Mhm.
as part of that, and we can always change it after, right? All right. I'll just note that down. All right. Anything else? I see not, so that will get us to adjournment tonight, and we can end with a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Chris, second by Brendan, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you very much, and good night.